Erica.
Right.
Show me the money.
Y'all started y'all freshman album, Born to Sing. And
yes.
What was the studio sessions like up in there?
It was amazing. It really was, because we were, first of all, I was the only one who had been in a studio session, I think. Cindy and Terry may have done some sessions before, because I think they did Carl Lewis's album. He was trying to do an album. So they may have been in the studio, but this was a new adventure for all of us. Mm-hmm. There were so many misconceptions in my mind about what it meant to be a celebrity. Now we're stars, so that means automatically we're going to be rich. And we had gotten a $10,000 advance, so I was like, yes, because I hadn't had $10,000 in one sitting before. And even though it was $5,000 upon signing and another $5,000 after the record was finished, so we got $10,000, but it was $5,000 up front, $5,000 on the back end. I was still so happy. I didn't care. I was grateful, and all of us were. So the sessions were amazing. They were great. Denny started changing, though, quickly. So the nice guy that started out in the very beginning with us no longer was that nice guy. And he was saying...
What happened? What happened?
He would say stuff like, if one of us pissed him off or frustrated him or he couldn't hear who was in the vocal booth singing, like, you know, Denny, what is that part again? I can't remember the note. He's like, y'all be quiet. Hush, hush, quiet. I can't hear. That was fine. But it was like, after a while, he would say, shut the fuck up. Y'all shut the fuck up. Okay, y'all get your shit and go the fuck home. And we would giggle and laugh and like collect all of our stuff like little girls. Like we got in trouble from our dad, you know, and walk downstairs and get on the elevator and go downstairs out of the studio in the parking lot. We would crack up. Who pissed him off today? Oh my God, Cindy, you said that. Dawn, you said this to him and you pissed him off. I'm like, I didn't mean it. But after a while, what was funny at first wasn't funny anymore to me. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, you telling us to shut the fuck up a little too many times. One too many times. And you are not my father. I watched my mom go through a lot of that abuse, verbal abuse from men, her boyfriends. And I was like, I'm not the one. So I went to the girls and kind of talked to them about it one time. And they were like, well, Maxine said, you know, well, if you don't like it, you should talk to him about it. Really? By myself? He's going to kick me out of this group so quick. It's like, okay, you don't like the way I talk to you, so sign here. And that means that you're out of the group. That's all it would have been. I didn't have any power at the time to step to him and say, first of all, not cool. Don't talk to me like that. I'm a grown-ass fucking woman. Respect me the way I respect you. I would have said that today. You say it one more time and the cops are going to be called. It's not okay. But I was too afraid to step to him because he knew if he would have had Jordana in the group, she probably would have been the one to step to him and say, oh, no, nigga, no, not today. Mm-hmm. You're not going to talk to us like that or to me. Mm-hmm. She would have probably been the one, and he probably knew that because she was so bold and asking for food at the audition. And you know, so he would have said, no, she can't be in the group. But he knew that he could talk to us like that because we were not going to buck the system. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to say, I don't like that. Not at first, anyway. So he knew what he was doing. But the other girls were okay with that. That's what trips me out. Like,
no, they were okay with it. It means like they didn't like complain about it, or you were like the only one feeling like it.
Well, right? Like what I just told you, Maxine said, well, you should talk to him if you don't like it. Well, bitch, you shouldn't like it either. And Terry and Cindy, you shouldn't like it either. Like what you're telling me to go to Denny. All of us should go to Denny. All four of us should go to Denny and say, Denny, we got a problem when we're in the studio with you. You say, you know, certain things to us and tell us to shut the fuck up all the time. That's not cool. Can you please stop doing that? We all should have had a problem with it. That's what I mean. They were cool with it. Because Maxine was like, Dawn, you go to him and talk to him about it. Well, no, because there's strength in numbers. Me by myself there's no strength in me by myself at that time. Today, totally different woman. Back then, a little girl. I still didn't know anything about myself yet. So I was 21 years old. It was like, yeah, what am I going to say?
Yeah, and that had to be intimidating because it's for you, and they're saying you go, and it's basically you by yourself going to one person. And they're like, okay, we can just get rid of her, replace her, especially at the beginning of your career, and this is something that you really, really want to do.
Exactly, Erica. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly how it was. So, yeah, me going to him and talking to him would have been a sure way of me getting kicked out of the group. Like I said, he wouldn't have like, okay, well, this is where you sign, and it was nice knowing you. Too bad it didn't work out. I wish you the best. That's what it would have been. So those things I didn't like at all. And it started to make me feel like, okay, do I want to be in this group? Like questions like that in my head that I would have every now and then. And then after a while, the album was done. We had our first photo shoot. Like, that's when it got like, oh my God, this is exciting. Nobody knows this yet, but our single is out and it was on the radio for the first time hearing it. I remember that moment. So all of those things started to happen, and I got over the fact that we were talked to in a crazy way. I kind of condoned it or brushed it off like, okay, whatever. He said, shut the fuck up again. All right, I can get through that. I can get through this day. And we finished the album, like I said. So now we got our first photo shoot. Oh my God, we're looking at ourselves like professional artists. Like, look at our pictures. Like, oh, look at the cover of our new single, our first single. Hold on. Oh my God. Everything started to move really quickly after that. And that we were no longer talked to that way because we weren't in the studio anymore. We had already finished that album. So, but in the process, in the interim of all of that, while we were still recording, let me just go back a little bit. Denny would have what I call the brainwashing sessions with us. So it was almost like the guilt trips that he would give us for who wants to leave the group first. Who's going to be the first to leave the group? You don't want to be the Diana Ross of the group. You got to stick together. Y'all are sisters. Y'all are this, y'all are that. It was that kind of shit. And I'm like, okay, you've said this so many times now. Every time he would take us to dinner or take us to lunch, or we'd be at his house writing the album, writing Hold On, and a few other songs that he allowed us to write on, which for the first album, we were grateful. And we weren't writers growing up anyway. We didn't write poetry like a lot of singers grow up, writing poetry. So we were learning as we went along. So that was exciting and fun. But it was like Denny was telling us stuff like it was just guilt trips. It was mainly about sticking together. It was never about what the group does for the one person. If you have problems, you go to the group. Everybody come around that one person and make sure that she's okay. Mm-hmm. It was never that. It was always like, you don't want to leave the group. You want to be here. Y'all stick together. It's like, okay. We're not thinking about leaving, first of all. We're just now starting out. This is brand new for all of us. But I guess he was trying to condition us to think like later, you want to stay in the group. Stay in the group, stick together, even though you're only making 2 pennies a record, and that's later on down the road. But yeah, it was all these brainwashing sessions and trying to fear us. I remember one time we would sit on the floor. He would sit on the couch or on a chair, and he was above us, a little bit above us. So it was like this. On my hand, yeah. So he'd be like sitting up on a couch, and we'd be on the floor. And I remember one time I was saying something, and I got up on my knees to get up on my knees, and he pushed me down like this. Not push me hard, but just like, no, I'm talking. And again, I didn't say anything. This is the first album. I didn't know my leverage. I didn't know my worth. I had no worth yet. Nobody knew who we were. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, I remember that. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what is this shit? Now I look in hindsight and I'm thinking, oh my God. 911, that would have been it. Because I just stabbed this fool. Like, come on. I mean, something. Like, I hit him over the head with something. I'm not going to sit here and allow you to put your hands on me. It's bad enough that you verbally abuse us, but I'm not going to let you put your hands on me. So yeah, it just became kind of like, once he knew that he could do that, and it's that way with anybody that abuses a woman. They start out really slowly, really sweet. He was very nice at first. At the audition, he was everything. And then we had a party. They had a release party for their album, which was FM Squared, and we had a couple songs on there. Gotta Be a Better Way. We sang background on for a couple of artists on that album. There's a bunch of different artists that they had released at the time.